using my laptop, but I switched over to the good mic.
Yep.
I hopefully sound better than I did last time. All right. Because when I was editing, it's like, oh, I sound completely different. Welcome back to Silicon Scoop. We might as well jump right into it, John, with this first article about AI brain atrophy. So this is warning us that using AI is going to make our brains go to sleep.
Well, no, kind of. And the thing is I really wanted to. I just thought of this as you're introducing it. Let's talk about it, and then I'll talk about the other thing. So, Carnegie Mellon University and Microsoft research, they revealed concerning trends about how AI impacts our critical thinking skills. So it makes sense because the research is based. They surveyed 319 professionals, found that 62% of participants reported engaging in less critical thinking when using AI, particularly for routine or lower stakes tasks. So the shift suggests that AI is evolving from a passive assistant to an active participant in decision-making processes, which could lead to over-reliance on AI-generated outputs. Now, the thing that kind of where I'm going with this is with ADHD, right? So ADHD, we have a problem with executive functioning. So I feel like if you put in the ADHD metric or whatever into this, I feel like it's different for people with ADHD. What do you think?
Well, I don't know if it's different for people with ADHD.
And what I mean by that is it's help because we have a hard time with critical thinking and executive functioning. So it's helping us with that.
I guess so. I mean, sure. I never thought about it that way. So
sorry to throw you for a loop there, but I figured you have ADHD. You could.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that part of it. So yeah. I guess, I mean, overall, it's like anything. The less you use your brain, the more it atrophies.
Sure.
The less you physically move and exercise, the more your body atrophies. It's part of it. So if instead of going to work and doing our own analysis on things all the time, we're just throwing stuff over and we have a set of 3 or 4 prompts that we run that does most of our thinking for us, then yeah, I could see this being a thing, even for people with ADHD.
Yeah.
So that's what threw me for a loop there. I was like, I mean, it helps because, we all use AI differently. And we've talked about how you and I use it for different things. Like, yeah, I use it for all sorts of AI automation and stuff, but that is not for deep thinking and stuff. In fact, creating the automation is incredibly deep thinking process. But I'm using an AI as an assistant usually. And I've got some great techniques where I feed it a technical doc on the thing I'm working on, and we're back and forth and say, hey, do you think I could do this, this, and this with my tools? And it checks and says, oh, but give me some options. Because it's helpful. It's like having somebody there. Now, is that going to atrophy my brain? I'm actively working on this and say, okay, before I get 10 hours in and figure out I can't do it, is this possible? And is this the best way to do it before, So I think it makes sense to us, but what would we have done if we didn't have AI?
Yeah, well, we'd be wasting more time on tasks, I think.
Yeah, and I think I think covered this about dependency versus complementary use. Right? Passive consumption of AI harms cognition, where active engagement seems to enhance it. Which is like the stuff we're talking, we're actively engaged. I'm doing stuff. I'm saying, what about this? What about that? That I think is a different kind of process. Like I said, it's active. Your complementary use, we're doing stuff together. It's mostly me doing stuff, but I'm going to get advice. I'm going to get feedback. I'm going to say, oh, I'm getting this error. What's wrong with this piece of code? And I could say from a coding point of view, I'm more on the dependency side than the complementary side because, I don't know Python. But ChatGPT does, so it does my coding for me there. I don't want to learn that. I'm okay with knowing that.
Here's the thing,
my point being is, pardon?
You're a coder, so like you can read a Python code and kind of get the gist of it pretty much.
Generally, but sometimes they're pretty complicated, and then I'll say, what's going on right here? Because, things change. Yeah.
But you're using it differently than what they're saying that people are using it for in this.
All I'm saying is that I'm not using it to become a coder. I'm using it more of a dependency on some of these languages or some things. Okay, I know that.
Yeah.
I'm working on this. I'm not trying to learn that. I just need some answers over here. I would just go to a buddy or try to reach out and search and find an answer and copy and paste it in. Same thing here is what all I'm saying is that I'm learning this thing. I'm implementing a new AI automation that does this and this and this and this. And along the way, we're calling some new things and we're doing something new. Let's get some help with that. So there's some complementary things along there, and there are some dependency things on there. And it's understanding that. Like, I'm not using it to learn to do these things. I'm not trying to be an expert at these things. This isn't where my expertise lies. Therefore, I'm just getting some of this. Over here is what I'm working on, and I'm learning all that kind of stuff. And there's two of those things. So I think, like, the tendency to only read the headlines and not read the articles and assume you know what's going on, when in fact, often these days, the article is says the opposite of what the headline is, because they're written, the editors write the headlines and the writers write the articles, and the headlines are there to grab attention, and most people don't read to find out what the real details is. So, we're in what we call the shallows, and I can't remember who wrote that book. Do you remember?
No, I don't.
But it's, we don't have that deep thinking anymore, and there is a lot of that going on, and you can see that where you just listen to the news and repeat what they say rather than doing some research. Or you say you do this when you don't really do this. You just have a couple prompts or whatever. I'm a prompt engineer because I downloaded a book of prompts from somebody, and I use those,
Well, the thing that this article highlights is that something that you and I have discussed, right, is they've highlighted a phenomenon called mechanized convergence, right?
Yes.
Where reliance on AI leads to less diverse and creative outcomes. But what they're saying is that as more users accept AI-generated suggestions without sufficient scrutiny, there's a growing concern that originality and contextual nuance could be lost. But also, like you and I have discussed, people are trying to use it for things that they don't know what to expect the outcome from. And then they're using that outcome as, this is right, without checking. And that's a huge, huge problem.
Yeah, and we've talked about this in the past. Like, at what point do AI hallucinated, made up lies just become fact on the internet because they're just being repeated dozens of times in articles and wherever, and when you start searching, it becomes a common thing, and it was just made up somewhere. So to mitigate risks of AI-induced brain activity, you're supposed to balance automation with mental challenge, use AI for efficiency, but prioritize critical tasks, practice cognitive hygiene, read, solve puzzles, learn offline, and limit passive consumption. Avoid overusing AI for decision making.
Yeah, like I use AI to summarize the articles for this for our podcast, right? But I'm still reading the summary, and I'm still absorbing the summary and coming up with my own kind of thoughts. Whereas some people might just copy and paste the summary and just use that as a matter of fact and not check or not ask questions about the summary or anything like that, like you and I would do.
Yeah, and if you're going to do that, you might as well just have AI do the podcast for you, because you just pipe it right in. If it's going to create the script, you can get it to do text to audio pretty easily now.
Yeah, but I'm curious to see what the long-term impacts are going to be on AI reliance on workforce skills and innovation. Because you and I, we talked about AI training and different things like that. If people get the proper training, does that reduce or increase their critical thinking when it comes to using AI?
And where does the voice interaction with AI come into play here? Or is that a less deep thinking because you're casually walking around and chatting with it versus and getting the answers or whatever you need?
Yeah.
And how does that affect us socially? I'm always curious about that.
Yeah.
If our phone is now our AI friend, are we still interacting with our actual friends?
Yeah. And you know what? Here's the weird thing. I think you interact with your AIs with voice sometimes. I never do.
I almost never do.
Yeah.
I've tried the voice thing to try it, but I'm
Yeah.
not satisfied with it.
Yeah.
I'll use that little voice thing sometimes just because my hands are at the thing and I'll dictate to it more than I'll talk to it. Just because when you're talking to it, I don't have some voice agent running to grab my voice and send it over and whatnot. Otherwise, I might talk to it. But I'm talking to it. The um, OpenAI specifically, if you're chatting with using its talk function, whatever it is, it can't do internet searches. It can't do a bunch of things. So I started using it to try stuff. For example, I said I was doing research for podcasts one time and said, hey, let's try this talking thing and get it to talk to me and tell me about some of this stuff and see, and I can ask questions. And immediately it was talking about something completely different. I had to stop it like 4 times. And because, this was Anthrobots, sorry. And it got it completely mixed up and was sending that.
Like, yeah, okay. I remember that. Yeah, that I ran into that same issue too. Yeah.
So that's the problem is it's different. You can actually clarify. You can send it a link. You can say, no, I'm talking about this. If you're texting, but when your voice, like it just kept going back to the same thing. I couldn't get it off it. I'm like, okay, great. That's not helpful at all. And it's confusing. And now, you're wasted all this time. So, but it does work for a lot of things. I've seen some very interesting things, teaching people yourself how to tune the guitar and a few other things. Is this a G, blah, blah, blah.
Cool. I never knew that. Yeah.
Just a thought, I've seen that kind of thing. So there's a few interesting concept use cases for those. Never mind actually using it for stuff. If you hook the voice agent up to a good AI in the back end where it can do things, that becomes a whole different thing. Like, it's really easy these days to do that. But that's not, usually deep research. That's just saying, hey, my assistant, go do this, check my emails, respond to this, do whatever, and having the AI go out and do things.
Yeah.
So what do you think? We'd love to hear your feedback. Is AI rotting the brains of everyone around you? Are students going to grow up and just rely on ChatGPT? And why do we need school anymore? If that's the case, if they just sit in class and do it, do things have to change around this? Or is it just fine? It's the next step and it's another tool and our brains are just going to be fine. We'd love to hear what you think. Leave us a comment below. All right. Apparently Anthropic's worth a lot more these days.
Yeah, so this is interesting. And I have to say, I still love Anthropic, but I think they're falling behind. They haven't released a new model in a long time. But this is great. So they are on the verge of closing, or they might have. I don't know when this article was published. A massive $2 billion round led by Lightspeed Venture Partners. And it's set to value the company at $60 billion. So that's more than tripling its valuation from just a year ago. And the funding round is part of a larger $6 billion funding effort following a $4 billion investment from Amazon in late 2024. So this capital injection, it kind of positions Anthropic as more of a major player, but it does from a valuation perspective, but they still, I think they need to get their crap together. They had some great things, and it's crazy that they had some great things mid 2024, late 2024, and we're saying that they need new things now just because of how quickly things have changed, right? But they're becoming the 5th most valuable US startup. So after SpaceX, OpenAI, Stripe, and Databricks, which is crazy. But they do need to release some new LLMs. What do you think about this, Craig? You're on mute. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm clicking and doing some stuff in the back end. So, and my cat's gone, so I can't blame it on her. 60 billion is what the last eval we saw for XAI.
Yeah.
I was gonna say Grok, but it doesn't really call it that.
Grok AI, XAI raised $6 billion. I don't know what their valuation.
No, but the valuation was 60 billion when we were talking about it.
Okay.
So it's neck and neck here. Anthropic's always had some interesting hybrid technology that everyone else is getting into now. So it feels to like the investors in this article that that's part of that they're positioned to be a leader in this area.
Yeah.
Have you seen that Anthropic is about to release a new model? I know you're talking about that, but they're about to release this new model.
Yeah, like they released that coding window or that additional window. That was really cool. But that was recently. But it's crazy how we think how long ago that was compared to everything else that's come out, especially with OpenAI and everything they released around Christmas. So, I love the race. This is great. So one thing to note is that AI startups have accounted for nearly half of all venture capital investments in the US last year. So that's crazy. It just shows you that there is this, I don't know if it's a bubble for say, but we're getting some high valuations. Just for those that don't know, Anthropic's valuation was 18 billion and it's going to skyrocket to 60 billion in just a year, which is crazy. And great. Like I'm happy for them. They're my favorite platform to use for certain things. But it's crazy how half of venture capital investments have been in AI startups, which is not surprising, right?
Yep. Okay, this article corrects me. This article says that Elon's AI is valued at 50 billion following their.
Okay. So I thought I was going to beat them. Yeah.
And OpenAI is at 157, and Perplexity is valued at 9 billion.
Yeah. And speaking of Perplexity, they just released a free deep research branch of their LLM.
Yeah, and I think DeepSeek just released Mo, which is a new tiny model, which is supposed to be really cool. I want to check that out. And the new Anthropic model that's coming out is supposed to be an O3 mini encoding, and it has a quick answers and a deep think mode and a slider that's going to allow you to adjust between those.
Cool. You mean OpenAI?
No, Anthropic.
Oh, an O3?
I said it's better than O3. This is what I was
better
saying.
Than O3. Sorry, I missed that.
Anthropic is preparing to release its next major model. This is reported by TechCrunch. The model tries a hybrid, can switch between deep thinking and quick answers. The company will reportedly introduce a dynamic scale alongside the model that allows the user to flexibly customize the model for themselves. This new model will be available in the next few weeks. It's expected to outperform OpenAI's O3 mini model in code writing. I just said encoding. In addition, the model shows excellent results in the analysis of large code bases and other business tests.
Yeah. So as of right now, with 3.5 Sonnet, I can pick concise, explanatory, formal, or normal as far as the responses. So I don't know if that's the same thing, but yeah, I find the one thing I find about Claude is that I find it more consistent with its responses on a day-to-day basis compared to other models.
That might be the case. I don't use Claude very much, so you're always bugging me, but I'm trying right now. I'm trying Gemini. I'm trying DeepSeek. O3 Mini and O3 Mini High has been very good. I was been very unhappy with 4.0, but O3 Mini and very unhappy with 4.0. O3 Mini and O3 Mini High have been very good. So I've been pretty happy with that. Yeah. And I'm testing these other models. There's only so many I can work with. So I'm pretty happy to try all these out. And it looks like Grok just dropped Grok 3. I want to be trying that. And it is great for image generation, but I haven't used it for much of interaction or work like I've done with the others.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't know why I've always found Claude to be much better as far as how I use it. And I've tested all these other models when they get released, and they still don't compete compared to what the output that I get. So maybe it's just my prompt is specific. It works great for Claude compared to others, but I don't know. But yeah, I need to try Gemini too. That's the one I want to try next.
And the other thing, this is a thing I'm starting to do because these models all output different types of stuff. Is say, all right, I used to just, have my prompts and change them up a bit, but the best way to do it now is give it examples. So once you have a good thing, this is a good format. I like this. Output should look like this.
Yeah.
And then I find that you'll get better results from all the models. So it's just the way it goes. When I ask one thing to create an index of something, it does it one way, and one thing does it another way, and they're not really compatible. So you got to really say, hey, this is how to do it.
Yeah.
So being that kind of stuff, using examples, fine-tuning it a bit. Examples are great. And that was what I was going to say is, okay, if you're unhappy with the other models, what you do what Gemini does is takes the output from Claude and feeds it into Gemini and say, no, this is what I expect from you. And it says, oh, okay. And it performs a lot better. That wasn't and that's one of the things that $50 model did is it took that reasoning output. It took very specific input, took the output and the reasoning and fed it back into their cheap model and saying, this is what I expect. And then it started getting some amazing results. And it did that for $50 with 1,000. I think it was 1,000 queries.
Oh, crazy.
So, you can make these things do all sorts of stuff. So I'm excited about this race because, I don't know any of these companies are making money. We always say that only the hardware companies are making money in the AI space. Even Sam Altman with their $200 pro feature, $200 a month, say they're losing money on that. So the computational power of these things is so much, and that's why we see nuclear, we see all these other energy stuff happening, and it's exciting to see the world go to clean energy faster because of the demands.
Yeah, and these companies or the larger companies are trying to design their own AI chips too, their own GPUs, right? So
yeah, and there's a huge push to start designing them and building them in the US.
Of course there is.
And Intel is floundering, and there's somebody's talking about buying them and using them and doing different things, but because they're breaking them up from a foundry to the IP part. And we'll see how that goes, but it's a shame this once great chip making company has been reduced to what it is.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So we'd love to hear your thoughts on, are we in the middle of some huge AI bubble? Is this another over evaluation, or John said I think you said over 50% were AI companies?
Over 50% were AI startups as far as that got VC funding last year.
And it makes a lot of sense because, again, if you're not using AI and automation, you're probably going to be crushed by your competition who is. So when you're investing, you want to see companies who are embracing that technology, never mind leading the way.
Yeah.
So let us know what you think. Is this, again, are we in the bubble now? What part of this hype curve are we in for AI? Are we just around the corner from the drop, or we still got a long way to go? And what do you feel about this race between Anthropic, Perplexity, OpenAI, XAI? Is there going to be a winner in this race? And who do you think it is? Let us know. So here we have Ozempic and Wegovy.
Yeah.
Wegovy and Mounjaro, but according to the articles we've been reading, the best is yet to come with obesity drugs. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, well, here's the thing, right? So it's undergoing a revolutionary transformation with new generations of drugs showing crazy efficacy. So the thing is the current and Wegovy and Ozempic, they're all what's called GLP-1 receptor antagonists. So the thing with these is that they were originally developed and used for diabetes treatment, specifically type 2. So the first clinically approved GLP-1 receptor agonist was introduced in 2005 for the treatment of type 2 diabetes. Since then, they've realized, oh, well, it treats diabetes, it helps with weight loss as well. So now, because of this, so there's emerging treatments, particularly polyagonists, that target multiple hormone receptors simultaneously, and they're showing a potential for greater weight loss and additional health benefits. So what they're doing is they're shifting, the development is shifting towards a more targeted approach, with companies now designing medications specifically for obesity rather than repurposing diabetes treatments, which is cool. But obviously there's a long way to go. But what are your thoughts, Craig?
I think I have mixed feelings about all of these things. Only because I think there's some interesting side effects with the way these things they work. And there's a lot of people on them for extended period of times that probably shouldn't be. But they seem to work. Like and people are using them for weight loss, but the stuff that's been out there is mostly for diabetic. So I'm curious to see how more effective these will be. Like, I don't know if you went through all of these, but here are a few.
No, go through them.
Good. Okay, maybe I should have let you go through them because I'm horrible at the names here. Retatrutide, dubbed the triple action drug, it targets GLP-1, GIP, and glucagon receptors to deliver potential weight loss comparable to bariatric surgery. 04 Gilpron.
Sorry.
Go ahead. How about you?
No, you don't have to read the name. Just go through the
I know it's hilarious.
Yeah.
Let me zoom in here. There we go.
This is Gilpron.
Yeah, there you go.
Or for Glepron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a oral GLP-1 receptor antagonist or agonist aimed to improving patient convenience and market scalability by replacing weekly injections with a pill. Let me see. VK2735 from Viking Therapeutics, tested in both a pill and injection form. There's a dual agonist, promises faster and efficient weight loss. Cargi Sema from Novo Nordisk. Yeah, a combination of semaglutide and carglinitide. And I know, amylin receptor agonist designed to enhance weight loss between current standards. Amyocretin with promising early trial data showing rapid weight loss percentages, it could challenge the efficacy of existing treatments. HU6 from Rivas Pharmaceuticals, an innovative prodrug of 2.4 ditropanol designed to safely reduce liver fat and overall body weight. And Mari DeBart cafraglutide, an investigational candidate offering a longer lasting monthly injection with dual activity on GLP-1 and GIP receptors. So if anyone has any questions about why I didn't go into chemistry, just go back a few seconds and look at my pronunciations of these things. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming, and some of the mechanisms include the multi-hormone targeting, the drug and triple, the dual and triple agonisms, and the biased agonisms to really bump up the weight loss. And it's really nice that we're going to see oral versus injectable delivery.
Yeah. And I think there is an oral GLP-1 that's out. I can't remember who. It's either Eli Lilly or Novo Nordisk that have released it. But for those of you that don't know, there's an actual naturally occurring GLP-1 in nature. Because you know me, I'm trying to stay away from pharmaceuticals. But cinnamon is a natural GLP-1. So there's other ones too, but that's the one that I put in my shakes now. when I'm drinking. But so the cool thing about this, what they're doing with these new, let's call them dual and triple agonists, is that they treat more than just obesity. So by focusing on obesity now you get other benefits for other things, as opposed to treating for diabetes and getting and it helps with obesity. So it could treat a lot of liver problems as well as glucose problems. Like, it could treat other things. But the thing is, and you kind of touched on it a little bit, I'm reading about these kind of horror stories about people using GLP-1, some people losing their eyesight, some people losing bone density. It's crazy. It's risky using this stuff, which is why I'm more of the approach of, well, okay, what is naturally occurring and what can we use that's naturally occurring? Maybe not as effective, but safer.
Yeah, and what are the dosage levels and what are the cycles for going on something like this? Because they get stomach paralysis and a bunch of other things that just sound horrible if you're on it for too long and doing different things or not necessarily following it properly. So things need to be watched and managed, and that's why I say people are on it for too long. Maybe there's a 6-month cycle, maybe there's a thing where you go off and on, maybe, I don't know, but to reduce the chances of these things, or maybe these new drugs will have more of that covered as a result of what they're designed for.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, and you hit it on the you hit the nail on the head too. Like, people are abusing these drugs too. So obviously there's going to be some problems, and I know that there's also issues of too rapid of weight loss, so your skin can't adjust. So then there comes other issues with loose skin and a whole bunch of different things. So yeah, I love that we're just scratching the surface of obesity drugs. I'm just worried about the side effects of these uses, right?
Well, yes, and I'm worried about society as a whole. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm not fit. I can use a bunch of lose weight, and I work on it all the time. But I don't want to use these drugs. I want to do it, my way.
Yeah.
And that doesn't mean other people don't need help. Other people don't want to use this. Other people, as a society, I don't want this to be the next thing. As soon as your kid enters high school, he jumps on one of these weight loss drugs or whatever, and everybody's on them for their life. This is what I'm worried about. So, other than that, I think it's a great option to have for people so that they can go from a debilitated state to a less debilitated one and get life back, or get feel healthy, feel good about their life, get less depressed, all the thousands of things that you need or want or whatever to give your a life a better quality of life. Absolutely, I'm for that. But at the same time, as a society, we become addicted to all these things, and I hope that there's some steps to prevent that from happening.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Are these drugs a godsend? And my concerns aren't concerns at all. And get out of the way, Craig. Let me at them. Or we should move cautiously into this new drug-induced weight loss future. Let us know what your thoughts are. Leave your comments below. So copyright in AI has always been a little loose, and historically we weren't sure where we stand when you create something with AI. What is copyright? Who owns it? What isn't? And we've got these new rules that have come out now, and that have, I don't know if they've cleared it up at all. They've tried to clear it up at all. What's going on here, John?
Yeah, this is cool. So, well, not cool. It's interesting. So, U.S. Copyright Office, they've released a landmark report which addresses the copyrightability of works created using generative AI. The report, again, it's just a report, right, is part of a series on copyright and artificial intelligence. But the thing that is interesting is it concludes that existing copyright law is flexible enough to handle AI-generated content without requiring new legislation. But the key finding in this is that copyright protection can extend to works created with AI assistance, but only when there is sufficient human contribution to the expressive elements, which means that you cannot copyright something that is strictly AI written, right? So, not surprising. So it emphasizes that purely generated AI material or content where human control over expressive elements, they're essentially saying it's insufficient and cannot be copyrighted. But when AI is used as a tool and a human determines the expressive elements, then the resulting work may be eligible for copyright protection, which has significant implications for creators, businesses, and the AI industry, right? So this could make AI skills a crucial advantage in the creative and intellectual property landscape. By AI skills, what I mean is being able to balance between that generation and in making sure that there is expressive elements in the writing. What do you think, Craig?
I think we needed to get somewhere, and I'm glad we're moving in a direction. But let's just take a step back and understand what AI copyright rules are. Can AI be considered an author? Who owns the output, the developer, a user, or AI itself? And what level of human input qualifies for copyright protection? So those are the basic questions. And now it's, what was the wording again? Significant input?
What was it? Sufficient human contribution to the expressive elements.
Yeah, so prompt engineering alone is insufficient. Business must show a chain of creative decisions to secure rights. Substantive human edits, refining AI outputs, adding original elements, or using interactive feedback loops. Copyright applies to modified portions.
So this is cool. I get where they're going, and I kind of agree, because what they're doing is they're just showing that companies may need to document the human involvement in the AI assisted projects more carefully to ensure copyright protection, which makes sense, right? I tend to agree with this. It could lead to new roles and processes in the creative industries, obviously, making it a crucial skill for creators and copyright lawyers, which is where I saw this going anyway. What about you? Did you see it going this way?
Well, honestly, if anybody's listening, that's a startup. This seems like another billion-dollar industry right now. You should start thinking about this. How the interface that audits, you have your work people and their AI, so you can audit the interaction, so you can claim copyright. If you don't have it, there's no way you're going to get it. You're not going to get those chats later. You're not going to get the reasoning. You're not going to get a lot of stuff. They're going to be gone. So there's an interface here if companies want to retain IP. So there's an AI interface and an AI automation agent and some software tools here to track that, log it, and then send it off to your loyal legal department and say, hey, is there stuff we can copyright in this? And all of a sudden you can do things that maybe you weren't able to do before.
Yeah.
Now, again, I'm a fan of people owning their work. Yeah. But I'm not a fan of corporations going copyright law, copyright law, copyright law, copyright law. But this seems to open up that second option.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. But again, this is needed. This isn't going to be the end of this discussion. This isn't going to be the end all be all. I think this is just a first kind of draft or a first attempt at this. But I think it's a decent first attempt.
Yeah, we're stepping in the right direction. There's a great article on torontostarts.com where you can find the show notes for all of these podcasts where I have all this broken down. We talk about, the global perspective. What's United States law? What's UK law? What's Japan law? What's China law? China requires clear human oversight for AI content protection. US says strict human authorship requirement. The 2025 ruling tightens this compliance. UK says allows copyright for computer-generated work with no human author, owned by the person arranging the creation.
Sorry, is that UK or EU?
UK.
Yeah, I'm not surprised.
Japan grants copyright if AI output reflects human intellectual contribution. So to protect the AI-generated content legally, you need to document the human input, and this is what I'm talking about when I said there's an opportunity here for corporations and software and somebody to jump on this, to track edits, prompts, and creative decision. Use tools like I've got on this one, I've got to use tools like Programmer, which is, our automation and AI tool website. There's a call out in this one for jumping over there to automate your audits. Use disclaimers, disclose AI involvement in public-facing content, leverage hybrid workflows, combine AI tools with human designers, writers, and consult legal experts to review contracts and IP strategies to align with this new 2025 strategy. It's an ever-changing thing, but there's things you can do right now to start getting on the right side of this and making sure that you can copyright your stuff.
Yeah.
And with the ever-changing landscape of what's going on with the media and using AI for film and creation of content and that kind of stuff, this is becoming more and more important. So what do you think, John? You think we're just at the verge of where we need to go? Are we halfway through this journey of getting a decent copyright law, or are we just,
I think we're getting there. I think this is a step in the right direction. Unlike the UK's trying to get encrypted data, they're going in the wrong direction. But I think this is a great step in the right direction. I do agree. Like, there needs to be some sort of human input if you're trying to copyright something, because then it's just a free for all. So,
agreed. And so we'd love to hear your feedback out there. What does these AI copyright rules mean to you? There's a huge anti-art, AI generated images are theft, stuff going on out there. And this kind of changes all of that and says, no, if you've given enough input, actually you can, that's actually your copyrighted art or material or whatever. We'd love to hear what your feedback in on that is. That's great, we're heading in the right direction, or oh my God, that's crap, poor artists, poor people who put all the work into doing the original training of these models, meaning all the artists and content that filled into that they're be able to produce the content, they're getting screwed over, and things need to change. Let us know what you think, because I'd love to hear your feedback. Ooh, I like this one. So it's been a long time thought that lava lamps are completely random and you can generate hashes from them that are unhackable. And there's this company that has created a wall of lava lamps. This company being Cloudflare. Yeah. There's a few cloud name companies like Cloudflare. And they've created a wall to create unhackable codes. What's going on here, John?
This is awesome. By the way, this isn't new. This has been around for years, but I love that we're covering it because I think this is awesome. So they've developed a unique method of generating secure encrypted codes using a wall of over 100 lava lamps. And so the wall is known as the system is known as the wall of entropy. So it captures using cameras. It captures random movements of lava lamp bubbles and swirls to create unpredictable encryption keys. So the ceiling-mounted camera, it records the lava lamp's activities at a certain moment in time, which is then translated into code by a computer. I love this. I think this is super cool. Some things to note. Cloudflare's lava lamp wall currently encrypts up to 10% of internet traffic, which includes data from major websites like Uber and Fitbit. And the company's SSL TLS encryption is powered by this system. So it offers a super high level of security to its customers. What's cool is that the public can even visit the headquarters, to see the lava lamp wall in person. So it's nothing secretive. You can go see it, which is cool. It's kind of like open source encryption, but not really, because you can see it, view it. But again, it's so random that it's true randomness, I think. What do you think, Craig?
It's supposed to be physical randomness, which has proven to be way more reliable alternative to algorithmic generated pseudo randomness, which sometimes falls short in security applications. So we talked a little bit about hologram encryption a couple of weeks ago. And this is what strikes me as like similar, because instead of having one lava lamp, we got a wall of them, and we got thousands or millions of permutations of bubbles and directions and whatever. And it's a very similar scenario as to the layers of encryption in a hologram, right? Because you've got, let's just say, I don't know how many lava lamps are on here. Let's just say it's 100. That's 100 different level of potential levels of encryption, different, because each could have a million permutations inside itself, depending on how low they want to go. So I love the concept, and it goes to show you that it doesn't have to be as complex as people make it out to be, that you just it just has to be physically random.
And it doesn't have to be expensive. Like, a lava lamp is cheap, but the one thing to note is that the entropy system itself, it uses other sources like chaotic pendulum and Geiger counter to create the randomness as well. So it's a multifaceted approach, which I didn't really get into how the chaotic pendulum and the Geiger counter come into play. But this is a simple approach to a complex problem.
So traditional pseudo-random number generators, PRNGs, rely on deterministic algorithms that can eventually be reverse engineered. Physical randomness, in contrast, is derived from natural, non-deterministic processes. The chaos inherent in the lava lamp fluid dynamics provides a level of unpredictability that significantly outperforms conventional algorithms. This method makes it nearly impossible for malicious actors to reproduce the random sequence, thereby bolstering the encryption strength. So it's enhanced security, it's unpredictable, it's interdisciplinary innovation, and it's real world proof.
My question to you, though, Craig, is, with AI and visualization, do you think that AI could, if it's watching this wall long enough, obviously they have the other things, figure out a pattern with the lava lamps?
Yes.
I knew you were going to say that. I think so too. But I think that's why they have a whole system with the Geiger counter and the pendulum as well, which we'll have to. I wish I would have done more research on it and explored. But I think that. I guess my next question to you is: do you think this is safe? The system that they've created. Do you think this is safe from hackers using the technology that's being developed?
Okay, if this isn't on display for somebody to analyze it, you might have something. But we know, based on research and science and stuff that we've come up, that they've proven, given a large enough data set, there is no such thing as randomness. So if you watch this and had AI analyze it for a long enough period of time, it would figure out what's happening. Now, physical randomness, again, it'll probably be a much longer cycle than the pseudo-generated randomness. So I do believe this would be cracked.
Yeah.
But you have a better chance if it's not visual. The visual data is not available
on a 24/7 basis.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think it is. I think you can only view it physically. You can't view it remotely.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's.
Yeah.
And again, you have to test it, right? Because you can't send a billion codes or whatever, hashes, depending on how they've done it, to break this thing in a second. So, like, you can't you have to know kind of the status and what it matches to. There's got to be a lot of the testing to break it, so it's not automatic. But yes, you throw this at AI and quantum computing at it, and you're done.
Yeah.
I actually would expect, considering it, what it solved, a 500 million year old problem in seconds, that this is probably not something that it could not break. So I don't know. Future prospects, the success of physical randomness is enhancing encryption security, has opened the door for further explanations. Researchers are investigating additional physical phenomena, from radioactive decay to thermal noise, that can serve as alternative sources of a true randomness. As cybersecurity threats continue to evolve, blending natural entropy with digital protocols may become the cornerstone of next generation encryption methods. I'd love to hear what's going on, what you think the next generation of encryption is. Is it hologram encryption like we were talking about before? Is it something combination of physical? Now, if you could project the encryption of these devices along with the lava lamps along with the hologram encryption, and do some combination, you might have digital and physical. Might make it harder. We'd love to hear what you think. Is this the future in encryption? A wall of lava lamps, or physical randomness, or is there something else coming down the pipe, or is this all going to be broken by quantum and AI shortly anyway? So it's futile. Resistance is futile. Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your feedback. So we talk about models all the time. We were just talking about Anthropic's about to release their new model. Grok XAI just dropped their version 3. So OpenAI has decided that their normal O3 model, they're dropping it. They've got not O3 mini or O3 high, but then the regular O3. Because of pressure from Deep 6, they're accelerating these features and rolling them into GPT 4.5 and GPT 5. What do you think's going on here, John?
Well, I think it's smart, because the way that they're releasing things, it's kind of confusing. They got O3, they got 4.0, and all these different models, right? I think they're smart to focus on developing GPT 4.5, GPT 5, which is simplifying their product offerings. It makes sense. I think, and maybe this is why I've stopped using ChatGPT as much, is just I don't care to figure out which model is which. I've got tons of other options, and I think that I think it's a smart decision for OpenAI to do this. But yeah, the cancellation, it seems to be a strategic pivot for OpenAI, which means that they're going to focus on integrating the advanced features into a more powerful system, which aligns with the trend in AI development regardless. So I think they tried to go this different route, and it didn't work. What do you think, though? Because I'm curious what you think, because you love using ChatGPT.
Well, it is my main go-to from an AI perspective, no question. And the different models do different things, and some are better at different things than others, and some cost more than others. So it depends on what you're doing. And like anything else, I think if you're using models for AI and automation, you pay attention to what each of them specifically does. If you're just using them for text generation, you just go with the one you're happy with. When I say text, talk back and forth and that kind of stuff. If you're using one that's coding, you go, like I said, you go with one that you're happy with, that does the language and works with you. I think this is a direct result of what's happening with DeepSeek and other companies, where they're starting to release cheaper, better models, and they need to catch on with this. So 4.5 is supposed to be coming out, likely to release within the next few, it says months here, but I heard a few weeks that we're going to get GPT 4.5. And it says potentially late 2025, early 26 here for GPT-5, but I think it's closer to mid 2025, maybe late 2025 for GPT-5.
Yeah. I have to say, so we cover a lot about AI, and
Yep.
I have to say, what is happening in the landscape right now truly shows what competition can do to help the consumer at the end of the day, that benefits the consumer. This is a direct example. Other people say that I haven't really seen some really good examples of competition recently other than AI. I don't know about you, but I think this is a great example of how competition is just benefiting the end user.
Yeah, it's pushing everything faster. DeepSeek came out and shook the AI world. We were talking about a couple of weeks ago when it came out, all the stocks dropped and everyone's worried about it. And then like, I haven't signed up. I've used it a few times, but I haven't signed up to use their API keys, but I will because it's a tenth the price, if not more than that, cheaper than OpenAI than anything really.
Yeah.
And so you sit back and say, okay, why wouldn't I use it for some things? And you can talk about that because it's China, it's just this and it's that. And so, well, it depends what you're using it for, honestly. If I'm calling it to sort some stuff, if I'm calling it to do stuff, if the information or the data in there, is just public information, then who cares?
Yeah.
But other people will say you're promoting this, you're promoting that. But you go with what's best for you, the company, and what you're doing. And it really changed the world because a lot of these Gemini dropped the new model. Anthropic's dropping a new model. Everyone's dropping new models, and their pricing is changing completely as a result of this. So yes, it is how competition it changes and makes the market better. GPT 4.5 is expected to build on 4.0's functionality with performance enhancements in language understanding, reduced latency, and more accurate context handling. Refined ethical guidelines, enhanced transparency, and ethical protocols will be embedded, ensuring safer and more responsible AI interactions. Not really sure what that means. I find ethical stuff usually gets in the way rather than helps. But that's probably just the way it's implemented. And I say that because, you ask something, say, hey, create an image. OpenAI does this to me all the time. I work on something. I say, I want some text prompts for this article. Text image prompts. I want this for this article I just created. And I'll say, here's the article. Give me something. And I'll kind of fuss around with it. And I don't care who owns the copyright. Like before, I'm just creating some social media images so I can post this stuff.
Yeah.
And it'll create prompts. And I say, great. I like that one. I like this one. Create image number one. And I'll say, oh, I can't because it's got copyright. And, like, why do you create image prompts that you can't actually generate? And it goes into some sort of weird, doesn't really. And that's why you have to. That's why I mean by the ethical things kind of get in the way, because it generates the stuff and then tells you, what you're doing is wrong because it generated it. And I'm like, okay, well, fix those things and we can move forward rather than getting in the way.
Yeah.
So hopefully that gets aligned better. Like, I like the idea that it's in there. I just don't like how it's implemented because and to be fair, when it comes to image, I don't like it's in there. I use Grok mostly because it doesn't give a crap.
Yeah.
Because it'll create images with logos and stuff for what I'm doing. And I'm pretty happy with that because it's trying to prevent people from imitating being a company or doing something that's wrong or whatever. But here I am making YouTube videos or making a podcast, and I want a couple images that reflect that I'm talking about Google or I'm talking about this. So I'll throw some logos or whatever in there. And it's common practice is what goes on, but depending on how you use it, it thinks that's unethical. So you want to use the thing that's right for you. Better customization features that will allow users and enterprises to tailor the model for their specific tasks. Oh, geez, we're over time already. Sorry, John. Robust integration. The model will offer seamless integration capabilities with existing platforms and workflows, reducing operational friction for businesses. I'm not quite sure what that means because they're more and more talking about agents, and I'm excited because building AI agents is great, and the more closer we can get to the actual AI model to do stuff rather than being removed from it, the easier things will get done. So, and GPT-5 revolutionary reasoning. GPT-5 aims to exhibit advanced reasoning capabilities, improve logic and problem-solving skills, surpass current models. Creative flexibility, deep contextual understanding, and integration of multimodal data. So expect to support not only text, but images, video, and possibly other forms of data, making GPT-5, a versatile tool for modern applications. So I'm excited for these things because it's what I use heavily. It's the one I pay for the most. And I'm excited to see this happen.
Yeah, me too. Well,
and again, the whole thing is pushing forward, and I really love to see it. Love to see the whole industry moving forward. So let us know, what do you think about this? Is this a big deal to you? You don't use OpenAI, you're using DeepSeek or one of these other models, you're using Claude like John, and who gives a crap? Or do you like to see these leapfrogs and competition happen because it drives the stuff forward? Let us know your comments below. So this stuff will go out in March. It's February 18th right now. What do you got going on, John?
So if it comes out early enough in March, CIX, I guess, and we're looking to host a pre-party, after-party. I don't know, but
both.
Yeah. So look out for that. CIX is a great event put on by the same team that puts on Elevate now. So yeah, come check it out. It's a great conference.
Definitely check out CIX. I believe it's March 26th. Go to CIXsummit.com and get their tickets. There's some deals still available, but they'll be ending soon. Oh, by the time you see this, they'll have gone. The deals will probably be over, but check it out. There might be some last minute deals or whatnot. We'll be hosting an after party, and we will be having a pre-workshop sponsored by Flowgrammer. And we're hopefully get a few other sponsors to talk about automating your business and what things you can do. We're going to go through a bunch of stuff. The workshop hasn't been announced, but it's going to focus on AI and automation for businesses and startups looking for investors. So take a look at those things. For everything else, go to torontostarts.com and check out all our upcoming events. And John, if people are looking for non-dilutive funding, where do they go?
Come find me on LinkedIn, John Irwin. I post often. You're easy to find me, so come find me. But if you need business coaching, startup coaching, find Craig. Where can they find you, Craig?
Go to startupcoach.ca or torontostarts.com. It's all there. You can book a discovery call and we can work together. So just check it all out. Flowgrammer.ca, torontostarts.ca, startupdrinks.com for our monthly get-togethers. And torontostarts.com. And don't forget to follow John Irwin on LinkedIn. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Thanks, guys.